Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here from Mama Elephant, and today I'm sharing a Slider Glider interactive card featuring new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant February release. This card all revolves around the awesome Slider Glider interactive dies, which you can either make a portrait or a landscape style die with this set. I'm going to be sharing how easy it is to put this together, and then I'm going to be using the brand new Zodiac Snake stamp set to adorn and finish out my scene. We're going to start by stamping the images from Zodiac Snake to make this card. I am stamping my images on Nina's smooth white cardstock using a no-line coloring ink called Jellyfish from Fawn. Then I'm going to color this in with Copic markers. Now stick with me here because I think when doing no-line coloring, pretty much with any medium, but especially Copics, it looks horrible at first. I always want to throw in the towel, but if you kind of stick with it and keep going over it, just be careful not to oversaturate your paper. I think you will really like the results. I am coloring in my snake, a snake balloon, a little birthday cake, and a heart from the Zodiac Snake stamp set. In addition to these images, we'll also be using the sentiment from the set to finish off our card. I am using some shades of yellow red here for my main snake, and then the belly of it's going to be rainbow color because what's more fun than a rainbow snake? I am not much of a snake fan, so these are cute little chubby snakes. I mean, they're really fun and definitely go with the whole Zodiac collection that Mama Elephant has. So I had to do something to make them a little bit more fun for me because, again, I am not a huge snake person. I do have one friend who does have pet snakes, and I'm pretty sure this birthday card is going to be going out to her this year because I think she'll appreciate it. However, even if you aren't a snake person, these are cute images and I do think they're really fun, and they work especially great with the Slider Glider. Any image really will that you want to move, but I love that it kind of just smoothly goes across the card, which you'll see in a little bit. I think that's fun. I'm adding a little dot detail to my snake to kind of replicate scales. You can definitely see the face fades out more with the Copics than I've ever had this happen with like zigs. So definitely go in with a black pen and add some detail. And to make the snake's face even cuter, I added some eyelashes. For the balloon, we're just going to switch up the colors, but again, we're using all the same colors. Any of the colors I'm using are shown on the screen as well as in the blog post that coordinates with this video. So if you want easy reference for what I'm using today, you can find that information there. So we're just switching up and using kind of the reddish pink peachy colors. I'm not using the deepest darkest red here for the majority of the snake balloon, and then we're just going to use the oranges, yellows, greens, and aquas for the belly. I've used my black fine tip pen for the string on the balloon. And then this one has its little tongue out, so I use some yellows for that. And of course, we're going to go back in with our black pen, draw in the detail for the face. For the heart, I started with a nice light base of R30, and then I went on to color in the balloon, and then I'm going to come back to it and color in some R35 and R32. That was on purpose. The reds tend to bleed a little bit, so I wanted the first layer to dry before I went back so I didn't oversaturate. I did not grab any new colors for the other images, so for the cake. So we're using some of those YR colors for the cake, for a vanilla cake. The lighter red colors for some pink frosting. We'll use the red, the R35 for some sprinkles, the aquas for the candle, and the yellows again for the flame on that. Then we're going to die cut our images with the coordinating Zodiac Snake dies. Off camera, I have pre-die cut most of the components for my card. I decided I was just going to ink the background, and this is my card base. I was going to ink it with blue ink, and I decided to go ahead and do a cloudy sky. I thought it would just add a little something to the card. You can use any cloud stencil that you have or even make your own. I am using the new Fawn Cloudy Stencil with some fish tank ink and a blending brush. This is a dye ink, and I'm just going to quickly add the clouds to probably 3/4 of the background of my card. This slider glider is portrait style. I've seen a lot of them with the landscape style, so I wanted to show how you could do this with a portrait style card as well and still get some awesome results. I definitely think if you're going to have two images kind of meeting in the middle, you probably want to do a landscape one because there's just so much, a little bit more of real estate to work with. But if you're going to just have one image moving across, you can do landscape or portrait really easily. And this little guy is just going to slide along the grass. We're going to have some trees in the background and all the fun things. So I'm double checking. I did die cut a border from green cardstock using a GRASSY Trio Mama Elephant die. And then I've got trees that I've die cut as well. And these are from a new Mama Elephant set as well called Display a Card. And I will link to that video at the end of this one. I did a video with this, another interactive set a couple of weeks ago, but the trees can be used with anything. So I went ahead and die cut those. I'm inking up the trees and the grass with some dark green ink to give a little bit more interest and texture to those images. Just the top border of my green grass. This is actually going to be popped up with foam adhesive to allow the slider glider to work, which we are going to get to here in just a minute. I'm kind of doing all the prep work first, and then we will put it all together. Along the bottom edge of our grass, this is actually where I decided to put our sentiments. That way they're not going to be in the way of the sliding mechanism. They're going to be popped up on that border. I'm going to stamp the sentiment from Zodiac Snake, and it says, "Sending super birthday wishes." Really cute, very punny, and definitely works with the images. In addition, we will be using a die cut sentiment with this, but I'm not going to add it quite yet. I'm using the Celebrate script die from Mama Elephant with this, and we're just going to pop it up with some fun foam and ink it up with a red ink to kind of coordinate and go with everything else. I will say when I stamped my sentiment, I did not get a very good impression, probably because the stamp is new. I find often when my stamps are new, sometimes that first impression isn't great. A little tip for you, I almost probably 99.9% of the time use my MISTI for stamping, especially sentiments. I leave that sentiment in my MISTI until I make sure that what I have stamped or stamped and embossed looks good. In this case, I heat set it the first time, I re-stamped it and heat set it again so it's kind of double embossed so that it's nice, bold, and white. That goes along the bottom edge there. And then we are going to put together the slider glider. And I'm just showing the long piece and the short piece. We're using the short pieces here for the card. Now the key to this is you want to cut 2 of each component. So there's 2 of the piece with the little notches and then 2 of the slider tabs. I'm going to go ahead and put the slider tabs together back to back with a nice strong adhesive. This makes this tab a lot stronger. You could probably use 1 if you wanted to, but the double layer of this really makes it strong. Then we're going to fold in the tabs kind of to the outside, and then we're going to adhere these back to back as well. So those folded tabs need to be on the outside of the slider glider, and we're going to just put adhesive in the center of this, kind of in between those 2 little notches, and adhere those together. And then we're going to put adhesive over the notches. Now don't remove the backing paper yet because we need to put the sliding mechanism in here. I have seen a lot of people use like little trash bags or anything like that, and I actually have something I like to use for sliders like this. I keep leftover packaging from stamp sets, and I don't keep all of it anymore, but because I have such a huge stash of it, but it works great. It's clear, and it's going to slide. it's going to slide great. So I usually just cut that. Now this needs to be cut a little bit scant of a 1/2 inch. You definitely don't want it to be a 1/2 inch wide because it's going to catch and it's not going to slide great. But probably a scant 1/2 inch, and then you wrap it through and you secure the ends together, not super tight. The key here is to just have it, you know, fit, but not be so tight that it's not going to move. I obviously start with a much longer piece than what you'll need, and then I trim that off. It was a little too tight, I thought, so I'm just adjusting that with my adhesive. And then right there where the two ends meet and you have secured it, put another piece of adhesive. And we're just going to put a little piece here, and that's where we're going to secure the tab. So just line that up and then slip it underneath that little, where those two notches meet, and we've secured it with a piece of double-sided adhesive. And we have our slider glider mechanism. Now, if it's not sliding great, that means that the plastic material you put in is too tight, and you might want to trim it so it's definitely not a 1/2 inch and a little bit less. I like to keep my card the size it is. You can trim off about 1/4 or more inch if you want to. I choose instead to create a notch, and your slider mechanism is going to work perfect for that. You can take that and die cut it from whatever's going to cover the slider glider. So in this case, my Grassy Trio border. And also we're going to die cut it from the card background itself. This is going to ensure that the recipient can grab that pull tab and pull it. Otherwise, it can be a little tricky to reach in and grab it. So that notch is going to ensure that we can easily grab the slider mechanism, pull it out, and move the interactive element on the card. This is a very, very easy way to make a notch just by using what we already have. So I die cut it from my border. As you can see, I'm going to die cut it from both the front and the back of the card because that's going to make it just so easy to grab that little pull tab and pull it. And once we have that, we're ready to put everything together. So we want to line up the slider glider mechanism with that notch. The only place this is adhered is where those notches wrap around. So we can now remove the backing paper from those little notches, line that up. And I generally like to line it up not quite with the card edge, but maybe just a tiny bit inside of that. In fact, I didn't do a very good job to start with. So I'm going to pop it off and add some new adhesive and line that up a little bit better. And there is our little pull tab. And it's not working great. So here, I actually adjusted mine just a tiny bit. And let's try again because I want you to see how well this works when you have the plastic. There we go, and now it's sliding great. Anything that you want to slide is going to be attached to that sliding tab. I like to use a little clear piece of acetate. I have bunches of little scraps left over from other projects, and I'm going to secure a long piece to my tab, and then I can trim it down once I know, but it's just going to have that stability for moving our snake in the grass. And then I'm going to put foam adhesive along the bottom edge of my card, and then a little piece over to the left. That's a stopper. That's going to stop the snake from going off the left side of the card. I am actually also going to add a teeny tiny little piece over on the right as well, just to add stability. And again, it's a great little stopper and makes it so that it stops. We're going to put adhesive on the back of the snake and pop that on to our acetate piece. We've added our grass along the bottom edge of the card. Look at that, isn't that cute? We're going to just snip off what we don't need and save that for another project. And then I'm going to glue my trees in place. Again, these trees are die cut from the Display a Card set, but they work so great with all kinds of things. So we're going to add 3 of these to the background, and they really fill it in nice and kind of help fill out and fill in the sky area of this. You want to make sure that they are glued down really well so that nothing is going to pop up or catch when your snake slides across the grass. So those little tips of that middle tree especially, I went back with glue, liquid glue, and glued those down and held them nice and flat so that they are not going to catch the snake. We are going to glue the balloon. I glued it to the end of the snake's tail and then just a tiny bit to the top of the snake's head for extra stability. And I'm going to pop the end of my scissors underneath this while that dries so no liquid glue accidentally gets on the background of the card and secures it. We've got a little heart, and then I need to find somewhere to put the cake, but we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to add color to the Scripty Celebrate with some Lawn Fawn Lobster Red ink. And I'm going to just quickly do this. I have adhered white cardstock to fun foam with stick-it adhesive, and on both sides of the fun foam, so it makes it a sticker. This is my favorite way to create a Scripty sentiment sticker. I inked it with red ink. I'm going to pop it out. I'm going to pop out all the insides of the letters. That's going to take me a minute. I'm going to use the Spellbinders Tool-in-One to do this. Adhere it in place right above our stamped and embossed sentiment. And then I added the cake, and I did stamp from a stamp set I had on hand, the pull and the arrow, so that the recipient knows that this card does something. Look how cute that is, you guys. Isn't it so much fun? Think of all the fun things that you can do with this Mama Elephant Slider Glider die set. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this interactive Slider Glider card featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.